I stand here on this cool Nairobi evening to invite fellow Kenyans to join me in congratulating His Excellency President William Samoei Ruto. The President's international engagements have made every Kenyan proud. Kenyans, I'm sure I speak for Kenyans when I say, every time the President has stood his ground against international bullies, Kenyans have been very happy. In his recent engagements, he has also brought benefits to the country. We say thank you, Your Excellency. In America, during the UNGA Assembly, he has again made Kenyans proud. Indeed, every time the President takes a microphone on the international stage, you will be a very un-Kenyan and a very unappreciative human being not to be proud of your President. And therefore I invite you to congratulate the President with me. The President has also made Kenyans very proud by pushing for equality and equity among nations. The President on international stage has questioned why third world countries like Kenya are greatly disadvantaged in their dealings with the rich nations of the world. The most recent challenge was indeed his speech at UNGA and during the climate summit in Nairobi. He has said we cannot continue in a world where the North treats the South as lesser children of God. So, fellow Kenyans, I have invited you to join me in thanking the President, congratulating the President for making us proud. It is obvious that when your President meets big leaders, big presidents from big nations, and you see him holding his ground, the way Uhuru would do, every Kenyan becomes proud. And indeed, we are proud of the President. Having said that, I want to invite the President also to attend to the domestic matters that so much affect this country. Nations are always having challenges that are broadly divided into two. There are the domestic challenges and the foreign challenges. Every president campaigning to enter office, presidential candidate, or every president trying to defend his second term, or where there are no terms, any other term, in a civilized nation, takes the pulse of the nation and must figure out where the weight lies. You can borrow from America. American presidents get their second term or enter White House by being very clear about these two policies. Domestic matters and domestic policy that would affect matters like taxation, trade, and so on and so forth. Vis-a-vis foreign matters that affect your image in the world. As I stand here today, on this very cool Nairobi evening, I can, without any fear of contradiction, say that the President has scored hugely on the international stage. But as Americans and other countries are aware of, you must know which of the two has the nation sitting down and asking itself, how do we handle this problem? If you are to ask any Kenyan at random, they will not be bothered with foreign policy. You may go to America, you may go to Europe, you may go to Japan, China, and bring goodies. The people will not receive you as well as they should, because these are hungry people. It does not matter how much clapping you get on the international scale if Kenyan children can't go to school because of poverty. It doesn't matter how eloquent you are. It doesn't matter how much you can face off with IMF and World Bank. It doesn't matter how many business deals you bring. The ordinary man is preoccupied with the and now, literally speaking. There's no way a hungry man will be excited about foreign achievements. That will not bring ugali on his table. The people who should be clapping and appreciating the effort of His Excellency the President are watching loved ones die in the house because they cannot afford medical care. And while at that, I urge leaders in this country to embrace the policy of a welfare state. That the level of poverty in this country, the state of unemployment in this country, cannot be allowed to continue in a purely capitalistic way. In fact, I dare urge all our leaders to ensure as soon as is practically possible to offer Kenyans free education from whatever it's called grade 1 or below that, preschool, up to university. Kenyans are too poor to pay for their children in school. And therefore they cannot appreciate the successes of the capital. Kenyans go to bed hungry. Where do they get the energy to clap for the president when he stands his ground? When he's no longer in dispute about which African president speaks for Africa. It's not in dispute. Everybody knows this William Samoei Ruto. And we are proud of you, Your Excellency. But as I speak today, the challenge that matters most to the people of this country is the challenge of the cost of living. And therefore, if you are seeking to get good approval ratings as a president, as you face the coming election, you must put your finger on which of the two are of paramount importance. And if you have good, sound advice, they will tell you, let us deal with the here and now, literally speaking. Let us sort out the high cost of living. Let us do whatever it takes to attract foreign investment and retain the investment we have, because currently they are flying out of the country. People are closing businesses because of taxations and levies, because of the cost of electricity, of fuel. Very few industrialists, very few manufacturers would come to a country with the kind of taxation we have, with the tariffs on electricity as high as they are, with diesel costing as much as it costs. So today, as I speak, the things that matter today are the things that touch the common man directly. Your Excellency, I want to recommend, I want to advise that we pay a lot more attention to our local issues, beginning with playing our politics right, beginning with making bombers, whatever you call NADCO, a serious engagement, so that Kenyans do not have again to go to the streets for whatever reason. So you play the politics right, and the politics is right here in Kenya. Something else. While trying to address the issue of the cost of living, Your Excellency, while bringing goodies from foreign capitals, remember there are things we can do to reduce our begging. It does not make sense, Your Excellency, to leave Kenya to go and beg for handouts, for support, while you and your deputy are finding it very important to stock your residences with seafood. It does not help the matter, Your Excellency, that corruption is almost at its worst in this country today. While on foreign trips, Your Excellency, I have also this to say. You need to stop foreign trips. You as the president may go once in a while. There is the need to sit down and work for the people of this country. Because when the president comes from wherever he is, he will hardly finish a day or two in Nairobi. He will be in Kuria. He'll be in Msambweni. He'll be in Mandera. And Your Excellency, the people who work under you are taking a cue from you. Your ministers and their top civil servants are literally Sky Team members. They are literally flying out of the country almost on a daily basis. Then we come to the domestic front. It is difficult for people to appreciate what you are doing outside. When they see suffering, and side by side, they can also see wastage. Your Excellency, my advice to you, stop the hemorrhage. Stop bleeding the country through excessive travel on the part of your ministers. People are wondering. One CS like Moses Kuria, friend of mine, from Kitale, Trans Nzoia, I don't know where, Wakisi, Siaya, we have 47 counties. By the time CS Moses Kuria has rounded the counties, and he needs an average of 2 to 3 days to go to Siaya and back, you can imagine how much money one minister alone has spent traveling the country, traversing the country, just to see ground breaking. You can imagine how stupid that is. That a minister will park his office, people will take interest, he will spend guzzle millions of shillings just to see ground breaking for the so-called aggregation centers that don't even make sense to me. So what am I saying? In conclusion, I am saying the people of this country should be proud of their president. The president makes Kenyans proud when they see the president shining among world leaders, including those from big nations. When they hear Joe Biden, the president of the greatest nation on earth, telling our president, kudo, you've done a good job. Thank you very much. That excites us. It makes us happy. But then quickly we lapse into our doom and gloom. Why? Because when we go to the house, there's nothing in the kitchen. No fire is burning. No food for the children. Monday is coming. Children can't go to school. Some of them, if they go, they can hardly drag their bodies to school to go and doze in the classroom because they have not eaten for 2 days. And yet they see a minister living in the air, traveling from county to county to launch aggregation centers. Your Excellency, this can't work. So we congratulate the president, congratulate you. Thank you for giving us a name. Thank you for making us proud. But we are also saying, how would a poor Kenyan who has not eaten for 3 days view these endless tours, endless travel across villages of Kenya by senior public officials, squandering money which you have said is not there? And very, very finally, Your Excellency, As we move outside the country for deals, let's put a brake on the borrowing. This country will be auctioned. Let's put a brake on the borrowing. Let's stay in Nairobi. Let the president stay in Nairobi and fold his sleeves and give ministers specific targets they must meet. Let us ask ourselves, how much would we achieve if Moses Kuria, instead of roaming the country, was figuring out how to help enterprises that are collapsing, how to sit with other experts and other ministers and figure out what sort of levies you can remove from petroleum products so that fuel is not as expensive as it is. You cannot be in that frame of mind to think about Mwananchi. If you stay in Nairobi one day, the accountant gives you heaps of money, and everybody else around you draws interest in heaps of money to travel across the country. And no sooner has Moses Kuria and the rest finished than they join the president in trying to reach every village in the country. This will not help this country. Let us minimize waste. Let us minimize both international and local travel so that the president and his team are able to sit down and figure out how to save this country from what I can see as danger, as imminent collapse.